Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the PLA podcast. I have the incredible, heart centered, sweet soul, Jyothi. Welcome to the PLA podcast. It's a true treat to have you on today.
Thank you so much, Sonia. I'm already excited and emotional with the introduction you've given.
Oh, I'm excited. I can't wait to formally introduce you to our audience. I'd say, if we had an opening soundtrack to the PLA podcast, it would definitely be the sound of your voice because people that don't know, this is a fun fact. You have an incredible voice, an angelic voice, and you are just so talented at singing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh. Just wanted to formally introduce you to our incredible audience. Today, we're speaking to Jyothi, a technology leader with 16 plus years of experience in computer science and engineering. She has led teams across distributed systems, platform modernization, and technical strategy, known for mentoring engineers with clarity, compassion, and a strong focus on human connection. Outside of work, Jyoti lives an intentional and holistic life. She loves cooking nourishing meals, eating mindfully, and staying healthy through Pilates and fasting. Her spiritual practices include Om meditation, pranayama, and daily lalita, upasana. She enjoys reading, volunteering, and honoring elders through service and respect, and music is a big part of her life. She studies and sings Carnatic music, and her love for music runs in her family. Her son plays the bass clarinet and saxophone, and her older son now teaches her the piano. Sports have always been part of her journey. She grew up playing badminton, played golf with her family for 17 years, and now finds joy and flow in pickleball. Jyoti's journey blends technical mastery, emotional intelligence, and self awareness. She dreams of becoming an entrepreneur who leads with purpose and heart. Please welcome Jyoti.
Thank you, Sonia. That is amazing to hear somebody talk about me like that. And thank you. Thank you so much. I'm
It's
humbled.
it's a true treat. And I love, it's funny, it's not one of the most important parts of the podcast, but in some ways it's one of the most touching. And part of it is that opportunity to read back your story and share with the world everything that you've created and done and who you've become over the years, right from the very start.
Yeah.
I wanted to take a moment and ask you if we were to go back to the very beginning of your career, right out of school, jumping into your professional life, what is one piece of advice you wish someone had told you, knowing everything that you know now?
Yeah. Definitely. That's such an amazing question. Um, yes. Early in my career, I genuinely believed that impact came from being smartest in the room, being one who solved everything, solved biggest problems, pushing against the flow, challenging everything, and always having an answer for everything. What I did not realize at the time was the cost of that approach. It created friction. I was going against the flow, against the energy, wasting so much of energy. I lost camaraderie, and sometimes without meaning to, of course. But I pushed away from the people whose trust and support really mattered. And what I have learned, and honestly, I'm still working on it, we are all humans, I'm still learning, is that real excellence comes from working with the people, not against the people, acknowledging others, sharing the credit, and being willing to both give and also receive the help that is needed to conserve energy. That creates something far more powerful and eh, than the individual brilliance, of course. As I grew into leadership, that same instinct showed up in different forms. Instead of writing code, now I found myself jumping into decisions, steering outcomes, and sometimes over influencing rather than empowering in order to create more leaders. The intention was good. We wanted to move fast, protect the team, ensure quality, but the impact was the same: less ownership, less collaboration, and lesser growth for everybody. What I kept relearning, and I think I've gotten definitely better over the years, is that leadership, it's not about control or brilliance. It's about alignment, developing that trust, building that trust, and having that shared ownership of whatever we are working on or working towards. When you acknowledge others and give and take the credit generously, it goes both ways. And when you create space for different perspectives, impact, it does not shrink, it multiplies. When people feel valued and included, they don't just support the work, they elevate it, they excel at it. And ironically, the moment I stopped trying to prove myself, uh, I became a better engineer, a better leader, and a better teammate, and a better person. So that's what.
I love it. I think that it makes me think of one particular quote that many people may know or some may not. And just a reminder of, if you want to go fast, go alone. And if you want to go far, go together. And it's that invitation of working together as a team through a symbiotic flow. How can we be interdependent? How can we work with one another? And oftentimes, sometimes that it'll bring up frustrations and delays, but more importantly, it will, if we can create a healthy team dynamic, can allow us to create results, have results, and create opportunities or solutions that we never dreamed possible, that are really only possible when we come together and we blend these different skills, these different strengths, and these different ways of thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. Imagine if one mind can solve, if we put multiple minds together, it can do amazing things. Absolutely.
Amazing. I'm curious, Jyoti, was there ever a mentor, a leader along your journey and path as you grew, like as you grew into your roles, as you grew through your career, that inspired this viewpoint, this perspective on teamwork and really putting others at the center of working and not always just the results and the task at hand?
Yeah, I mean, I had multiple that I looked up to. Uh, my managers, some of them are my managers, some of them are my peers. And one of this, my teammates, she was almost the age of my mom, and she used to treat me like her daughter. And yeah, she always tried uh, put me put me first, right? I was starting fresh and I had kids to handle and all those things. So working really hard for my career. So she used to elevate me or show me in better light, things like that, and also help me out in the background. That is something I've definitely learned from her to, yeah, put others first. So
That's so touching. And I love that these relationships oftentimes at the, in our career, at the office or on our teams, remind us of these beautiful relationships outside of that world, whether it's like a mother-like figure or a sibling and a teammate or someone even we are mentoring. And it makes us think of our own younger siblings, our own children, and being there and being of these, creating these supportive dynamics between people. It's just so potent. And like, imagine years later, you're still talking about it today.
yes, and yeah, that is at work and at home. My mother-in-law, I've seen her do that. Uh, my mom does that. My mother-in-law does that. They put everybody else first, and they are ready to do that again and again. And yeah, that is something we all should be learning and following. And even my son does that. I call him, "You're like my mom. I'm not your mom. You're my mom." So yeah.
I love this. It makes me think of that the book title "Eaters Leaders Eat Last," of really making sure. And actually, I think it's an unspoken rule in some of the branches of the military. And it's like, you know what? The major generals say, no, the younger soldiers, the recruits will eat first, make sure they're fueled, they have enough energy, and we will eat last, making sure that everyone is taken care of. And it's just so beautiful, so potent, and really being of such service. So I love this. I'm curious to know, Jyoti, we're talking about these amazing things and all these supportive energies in our careers and lives. And, oftentimes, as we know, it's through the challenges and through the difficulties that we grow and we become who we are, and that really shape us and mold us and allow us to transform through oftentimes the challenge and the difficulty. I'd love to know, what were the major challenges of your career and how did they support you in your growth?
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to say one. There are multiple, like we all do at each point of time. For each phase we are at, we will have challenges. But at the phase that I'm growing into, which is engineering leader, thought leader, this challenge has helped me. So here goes. The biggest challenge was when I was promoted to engineering manager and immediately given ownership of a product. It is for we are developing a product for fraud detection, and we meaning before I took on that project, the company bought a product, and we were paying millions in license fee for that product, and we are developing microservices leveraging that product in order to for the fraud detection. So they tried to launch it, and it did not go well. And then business or the company upper management has decided that they'll put a very hard deadline of 4 months, and either get it right or just st- do not spend any more time on it or resources. So the system, as designed, had critical architectural challenges. It was using the primary transactional database, and these microservices, they were supposed to push 90 days worth of large amounts of data, millions of transactions data into this new tool that runs the rules and develops, sends out alerts to the risk team, something like that. And in order to read this data, the first change, I worked with my team closely. We use the read database, and then also there are issues with the Redis instance, and also there were multiple jobs, and they were set to run, initially decided to run sequentially, and that would take about 6 months to do. So I sat with the team and figured out how to run them parallelly without mitigating the risk, and then while mitigating the risk, and then we were able to do it and deliver it within less than 4 months. So by restructuring the database access patterns and parallelizing the jobs where it made sense, we compressed what would have been 6 months timeline into 4 months and actually delivered ahead of schedule. More importantly, we delivered a stable, production ready system that protected our core infrastructure. That experience taught me that technical leadership is about deeply understanding the constraints, making informed trade offs, and sometimes the path forward requires challenging assumptions and finding smarter ways to manage risk rather than simply avoiding it. So,
I love it. And I'm curious to know, if there was a young lead on this project and they didn't have access to, these insights that you had at that time or that way of thinking to be able to compress such a timeline, especially in a critical moment with a lot at stake. There's a major investment in this and quite a bit of disappointment of where this project was going originally. What would you share with them? Because oftentimes we can feel an immense amount of pressure and it can make it difficult to perform in those moments.
yeah, but it's always simple. First, we need to understand the context, right? What we are trying to solve.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, the previous experiences, definitely the knowledge, experience, have helped me in figuring out the path forward. And yeah, I'm thinking, yeah, they need to develop understanding in each area. They should not be working in silos. That is the one thing I would say.
Yeah.
Whenever possible, keep talking to others, be curious, keep learning, and that awareness will take them a long ways. That's all I can say.
I love that. I think that this is a major invitation for whether it is in our professional careers or in our personal lives to get out of these silos that a lot of us are slipping into simply because of how the world is being run right now, simply because of
Yes.
our lifestyles and how we've developed into quite individualistic lives rather than being in community, exchanging, communicating, exploring, collaborating, and even in some ways competing in a very healthy way. Those energies of saying, wait a minute, how can I be interconnected with all of these people and these parts will give me probably more access to opportunities, creativity, and solutions. So I love that you're bringing this up.
Yeah, because I might not have, I do most of the time, but sometimes, yeah, I get with narrow focus. A lot of good focus, laser focus, but it becomes so narrow. But after reading books like System Design by Alex Yu or the data intensive applications, all these they are addressing different aspects of the system. Unless at your work you come out of your silo and keep talking to others, trying to keep developing knowledge bit by bit in all these different aspects, it makes sense. Otherwise you wouldn't. How many years you work, uh, whatever they are saying in these books, you'll not develop complete understanding of the system unless you do this. So
Wow, beautiful, beautiful. I think there's definitely something there with all of it, and I love also these pieces, these resources that have been helpful along your path and journey, and these books, these experts in this industry. Speaking of the world changing and silos and technology, of course, I want to ask you about AI and just get your perspective on it. As you know, so much has changed in such a short amount of time, even though AI has been around for a couple of decades now, if not more.
yeah. Yeah, quite interestingly, I did my master's in back in I started in 2000, finished in 2003. I did master's in AI. That's I studied genetic algorithms, neural networks, fuzzy logic, chaos theory, all these different aspects of AI. And I did thesis in genetic compare simple and complex genetic algorithms to generate the test cases to test a program. So, but unfortunately, I never used it back then. Should have, but coming, yes, definitely, it's more than 2 decades. It's been around. So my perspective on AI is excited adoption paired with intentional responsibility. I'm actively using AI in my daily work to write using the LLMs to refine my articles or presentations, or and then using agentic IDE to generate code for my uh, POCs. And as an engineering leader, I love that it accelerates the iteration, and it lets me explore concepts that would have taken weeks or months in just hours or days. But I've also seen firsthand the risks of AI generated code in enterprise environments where compliance, etc., are needed, and also architectural standards. The they can generate the code, uh, sometimes logging PII data, PCI data, etc., bypassing security patterns, violate architectural layers. And at AI velocity, manual code reviews, they don't scale, right? So I am building, I mean, I have an idea and I'm working on that solution, and an architectural enforcement platform that validates the AI generated code against, we can set up rules, enterprise architecture standards as rules, as an YAML file, for example, and also the compliance regulations like PCI, HIPAA, etc. All this can be done with the tool. And the goal is to let teams move fast with AI while maintaining the guardrails that enterprise software demands. On the broader question of job displacement, AI is fundamentally non deterministic. So you can give it the same prompt twice and get different outputs. So we need people who understand the context, business requirements, and business cases, and can validate that AI produces whatever it produces is actually correct and appropriate for the specific situation. So that's why I'm focused on training my teams to work effectively alongside AI rather than replaced by it. My approach is more pragmatic optimism. Embrace the technology, but build the necessary guardrails. Move fast, but plan and move. Invest deeply in people so they are empowered by AI as essential collaborators, not displaced by it. That's how we harness this transformation responsibly.
I love it. And I think there's definitely so many perspectives in what you've shared, especially with this piece around not being displaced and using it as a collaborator. And I think so many people are afraid, this conversation about job loss and just a shift in where we actually need people and what can be now delegated to this incredible technology that you're right has been around for far more than 2 decades. I'm curious, as someone who studied this for her master's, not all that long ago, what is your perspective when you see how it's been like how it's being used by the masses and how much it's evolved since you've studied it?
Yeah, they can't even imagine it. So, unfortunately, yeah, I love genetic algorithms, but I don't think they were, they did not pick up that much. But I think neural networks are the core for all this deep learning, Gen AI, and everything. And yeah, it's amazing the way they evolved. I remember my professor telling me um, it's gradation, right? It's the development, constantly keep learning and keep growing. The so our mind, I remember him telling AI or any technology cannot take over human brain because of the gradation, the development it keeps constantly going through. They cannot keep up or they cannot match it. So let's wait and watch.
Incredible. And literally now we're seeing it play out in real time, which is amazing. And I love that a professor, this is almost three decades ago, was already
Yeah.
having these insights, and we're still asking ourselves this question and having this perspective all this time later. So absolutely, there's something, beautiful and just touching to be able to watch and see play out.
Yeah. Yeah. Interestingly, genetic algorithms is all about the complex genetic algorithms is trying not to put all your eggs in one basket. So simple is everything in one basket, complex is spreading it out. So hopefully, yeah, the AI is smart like that and gives us optimum solutions rather than putting all the eggs in one basket.
Incredible. And Jyoti, we are on the PLA podcast, so of course have to ask you, what originally drew you to a community like PLA?
So the introduction, the 5 day challenge that I started, got introduction to PLA, and that blew my mind. Where they introduced about the rectangle, the communication, first breadth in technology,
Mm,
domain knowledge, or whatever it is, and then communication, the visibility, the things that we need to do to advertise ourselves, to make ourselves visible All those things really thought those are the missing dots, connections between the dots, whatever, however you can say it, missing pieces to elevate myself or may help me grow, get to the next level where I want to be with all the background that we all have. So that's one thing, and the other thing is proximity. Uh, the all the PLA family members, and most importantly, the coaches, uh, including you, Dunia, and Pam. Amazing. It's a privilege to be in your company.
Oh, and it's a privilege and to us for you to be there really. I always say the community wouldn't be what it is with the incredible members, and you're someone that has such a pure heart and you're so dedicated to your growth, your work, your evolution. And so it's an absolute privilege to be able to be there with you, for you, and to continue to see this incredible experience evolve and to see you grow.
Thank you.
Speaking of seeing you grow in these incredible privileges, I would love to know, my favorite question on the PLA podcast is, what is the legacy and impact you're still looking forward to leave behind in this world?
Yeah, that's again an amazing question to ask oneself. Um, and it's always good to think big, dream big, think big, right? So, creating, I'm looking forward to creating uh, something, building something successful enough to create transformation at scale, particularly for people who don't have access to opportunity. One of my core commitments is providing free, quality education to underprivileged communities, especially in India, where I'm originally from. I've seen how education can transform lives, but it remains out of reach for so many talented, capable people simply because of the circumstances. I would like to at least make a dent. Beyond traditional education, I want to establish a school. In addition to that, I want to establish a school that teaches what's often missing from conventional curriculum. The principles, like all the legends like Jim Rohn or Napoleon Hill or Brian Tracy or Earl Nightingale, so many people, they have taught us about the human potential, and so much research going on the brain, on our human brain. So how to harness our subconscious mind, unlock our highest potential, and fundamentally transform how we think and what we believe is possible. These are not luxuries, they are foundational to breaking cycles of limitation. And at the deepest level, of course, I want to help people experience something transcendent, whether you call it God, consciousness, or simply understanding your true nature. I am on that path. I would love to experience that, nowhere near probably. But I believe while doing that, I also want to help others access that is perhaps the most meaningful work anyone can do. And so my legacy is really about scale and transformation. Build something big enough and it creates real lasting change in people's lives, their education, their mindset, and their spirit. That's what drives me.
Oh, beautiful, Jyoti. So touching. And I love that, your generous heart wants to give to so many that may not have access to these incredible guides and those that have really paved the way in terms of personal development and growth. Give them access to this incredible wisdom and let them experience it for themselves. And I love it. And I'm excited to see this project come to life and to support it in any way I can. And I really believe in it. And I think the world is ready to receive it.
I totally need all of your support. And it is never, there is no I in this, it's us. So
Which is such a full circle moment because this is how you had originally answered those very first questions of, the biggest asset and experience and what had helped you at the beginning of the journey, the biggest challenges were about coming back to the team, coming back to the group, and that the power was really in the people.
Yeah, well said. Very well said.
For everyone
I,
that is, yeah, what were you going to say, Jyoti?
I never thought about it, but yeah, like you said, it all came together and helping me more and more.
I love it. And so everyone that's tuning into this episode and has never heard of PLA and happens to have, fallen on this episode by fluke as your first one, I just wanted to put out the QR code. This is the free training that is very, very generously given by the founders themselves of the PLA community. And I tell everyone, even if you were to never hear of PLA again, and just attended this free training, you would be blown away by the tools and skills you learn within this. And I recommend it to everyone I've known. I know I've attended more times than I can count. And I know so many of our PLA members continue to go because it's just incredibly valuable. So like I just think when there are tools and there are opportunities on the table to be able to cultivate our skills and our capabilities and capacity, one must take it if they're willing to grow and evolve. And like I said, if you never hear of PLA again, I think you will leave with so much value that you'll be able to continue to implement and get results from, which is incredible. So I invite everyone that feels called to join. And if not, we will catch you all for the next episode on the PLA podcast. And Jyoti, thank you so much for your time, for your beautiful heart, and for your incredible wisdom as always.
Thank you so much, Dunya. It's a privilege to be on this podcast, and it's an amazing opportunity. And had a great time chatting with you and sharing my thoughts.
It's a true treat, and we hope to have you on as a guest once again in the near future. And to everyone that tuned in, thank you for your time, and we'll catch you all for the next PLA podcast episode.